Okay, in this short little tutorial, I want to walk through the steps of creating the irrigation sectors, and I'm going to piggyback on the tutorial I just went through for creating the yield point feature class for the LDS ERDA farms here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to turn off the yield data, and I'm going to zoom in to one of these pivots that I want to build, the irrigation sectors that I want to work with. And so two pieces of information I need is I need the centroid of the pivot, and then I need the radius of the pivot. And this is for your typical circular pivots area here. So the way you can grab that information is you can simply just zoom in, and as you move the mouse around inside of the application, you can see down here in the lower left-hand corner the latitude, longitude, and I can hover over a point to get roughly and record those numbers, or I can use the identify tool and come over here and find and click the center. I can zoom in to get more accurate, and then there I can copy and paste the lat and long from there as well to get the centroid. The next thing I need to do is get the radius, and I can just measure that using the measure tool. So what I'm going to do is use the left mouse button. I'm going to click and hold the left mouse button down over the centroid here, and I'm going to come out, and as I move the mouse, you can see up here in this window my segment and length. And so I'm looking at about 195, maybe 195. Yeah, about 195 feet. So and you just pick what you know works best for this pivot in this area. But this is ways that I can gather the radius information and the centroid. So I'll close that down. I've recorded both those numbers. So at this point, all I need to do is come in here to my tool set, right? Go to my folder connection that points right to my tools. And if you haven't gone through the process of updating the tool with the patch, make sure you go through that tutorial and get the latest patch for the toolkit. Open up the sector management toolbox, and let's run the build irrigation sectors tool. And what this does is ask me for some parameters. The first thing I need to provide is the folder, the root folder of where that file geodatabase sits. And so if you look at the folder tree here, I'm under my precision irrigation analysis root, under my farms, LDS, and ERDA. And this is the root folder of where the file geodatabase we created earlier. Next, give it a name. I don't remember what this is, but we'll call it pivot 9. Remember, do not use minus signs. ArcMap tries to minus those values as it's doing the scripting behind the scenes. Provide a coordinate system. If we hadn't created a favorite for this, then I'd have to navigate down through the projected coordinate systems and find that, but we have it right here. Utah Central is the coordinate system that we're using for this. And then from our recorded information, I'm just going to type in my centroid for my longitude and my latitude and make sure we get these numbers right, because if we don't, this polygon will get generated somewhere out in the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. So type in my radius, whatever you want that to be, and then the sector size. And this could be any divisible number divisible by 360 degrees, so 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever you need that to be. Here I'm going to leave it at 6, and then I'm going to hit OK. So I've got my root to my file geodatabase. I've got my name. I'm going to call this irrigation sector polygon, my coordinate system, my centroid, and my radius, and then the sectors that I want to create, and we'll hit OK. All right, it just takes a few seconds to run. So you can see it took about 10.5 seconds there to execute that. And when we're done, we should now see our new pivot 9 polygon irrigation sectors divided by 6-degree segments there. And several things that it did here. So first off, we go to the catalog, and so we now have a new polygon feature class inside of my file geodatabase, inside of my LDS ERDA structure, folder structure. Also, if I right click and say open up attribute table, we'll see it did a lot of things for me by way of building the structure here. So I have a lot of fields that are ready to be populated with pieces of information that will come in later tutorials. But that's how we get started. The very next thing you want to do immediately And in the next version, I'll combine these two processes into one, but we need to build out a unique ID for each one of these polygons. Now, these, these fields here are used internally by the Esri platform. We don't want to mess with these at all. So we want to build our own unique IDs and then to help us populate and manage all the other information out here to the right of this table. So and underneath the tool set, the very next command we want to execute is calculate unique IDs. So we'll just double click that and I'll find my pivot 9 feature class, hit OK, and it's going to run through and calculate those unique IDs for me. This one also only takes just a few seconds to complete. Once it's done, we can open up those attribute table again, and now you can see I've got a unique ID for everything in there. Now, something you might want to do just to kind of clean this table up, if you hold the control button down, you can double click on the top of each one of these fields, and you can hide these fields. We don't need those. They're still part of the table, and they're used internally by the Esri platform, but these are the fields that we're going to start working with. Okay. All right, so that concludes this tutorial. We've built our sector polygon, we've built our fields and our unique ID, and now we're ready to start populating some fields of information there.